Hey, what's up, family? It's Mahalia here, your host, your growing through life partner, your sister for Moments with Mahalia. Mahalia, y'all, I'm excited because if you have been connecting with me on the Moments with Mahalia podcast, if you've been tuning in for this month's series, we are talking about mental health awareness. And the series is Help, I'm Battling. You know, last week I talked about Help, I'm Battling Within. We just finished a conversation with a licensed clinical mental health counselor on talking about, how do we balance mental health and our faith? And I have that special guest with me right now, family. So Catrice, say something. Let us know that you connecting with us, girl. How you doing?
Hi, Mahalia. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
All right, Catrice. So help us understand a little bit more about a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And then if I'm not mistaken, you're also a school counselor. So that already shows that you cover a wide range of ages. You've worked with a lot of different people. So if someone's not familiar with this type of title or this type of support within mental health, can you kind of give us a few minutes or a few seconds about what that really is all about?
Absolutely, Mahalia. As a trained licensed clinical mental health counselor, I work with individuals, families, couples, groups in treating mental, behavioral, and emotional problems and disorders. As a school counselor, I work one-on-one or in groups with students in an elementary school setting about learning strategies, self-management, behavioral and social skills, and also my attempt is to help them promote their academic success. Also, as a licensed clinical mental health counselor, I see clients on a weekly, sometimes bi-weekly basis. And with my students at school, I see those babies Monday through Friday.
Awesome, Catrice. Okay, so we know mental health battles, mental health concerns can be noticeable in anyone, regardless of age, socioeconomic background, experiences, or what have you. What are some of the more concerns that we see continually across the board, regardless of age? Are there any trends that we're seeing?
Well, basically, due to COVID right now, we're seeing a lot of individuals who are battling anxiety and depression. With COVID coming on the scene, it shut everybody down and it just shut the world down. And so a lot of people were experiencing things they've never experienced before. One, you're being shut down from going to visit family members, or you're being cut off from certain entities. And that can cause you sometimes, when you're alone with yourself and your thoughts, it can cause you to, exhibit some type of stressors. And we've been seeing that in children. We've been seeing that in, middle age as well as the elderly. So with mental health challenges, it's not, no one is exempt from mental health challenges. Everyone experiences mental health challenges. It doesn't matter what your race, your skin color, your gender, your religion, or your sexual preference, or your economic background. Everyone will experience some type of mental health challenge.
So the fact that you acknowledge that whether you have a faith background or you don't, or if you are more of the seasoned population or the younger side, we can experience some type of mental health challenge, whether that's stress, worry, anxiety. What are some tools then that we have available to us, or that we should exercise, or some resources that we should reach out to for assistance?
Well, some of the tools that we should utilize first is basically a change in mindset. And I would suggest that, we eradicate the stigma with mental illness as that, it's not for me. It's only for people who are crazy, or it's only for people who go through certain things. But there's so many different resources that are out here that are available for people who are struggling with mental health battles. We even read in the scriptures that, different people in the Bible struggled with mental health concerns. So I challenge individuals to, one, look outside the box and just also trust the process. Contact your primary care physician if you're unsure, like, hey, I'm having these thoughts, I'm having these feelings. What do you recommend? What do you suggest? And from there, there are resources that you can even look up on the computer. We have access to any and everything now. If you look up therapists in your area, there's so many therapists that are in the area. And you really be surprised at how many therapists there are out there. Now, does that mean that, you may find someone that specializes in, whatever? May not. But if we continue to research and we continue to persevere and just to look for those things, you will find that right person and that right fit for you.
So then let's take this now a little deeper, because if you were listening a second ago, family, I mentioned that we are on the series Help I'm Battling, and Catrice and I just finished a more in-depth conversation, which you can find on the podcast, about Help I'm Battling, balancing mental health and my faith. So Catrice, let's dive now into that piece, okay? Balancing mental health with my faith. Is this a truth or is this a myth that Jesus followers, faith believers, spirit-filled individuals are exempt from battling a mental concern or mental challenge?
No one is exempt from dealing with mental health challenges. Everyone has mental health challenges. Just like everyone has physical health challenges, you will experience some type of mental health challenges. Mental health encompasses all of our overall functioning and psychological well-being, including our ability to cope with negative and positive emotions and how we cope with stressors. So, for our faith-based believers, when you read in the Bible about Paul and you read about Saul and you read about Job, they had and they endured some type of mental health challenge. So if Paul, Saul, Job, and those in the biblical times experienced it, we're not exempt either. So I will tell you that when you have those feelings of anxiety and fear and insecurity and hopelessness and shame, the more you resist those emotions, the more they're going to dominate you. And I just plead with you not to resist your emotions. Instead, let a counselor help you work through those, because a good mental health professional will respect your beliefs and will work within your personal parameters. But the more clearly you can express those boundaries and those parameters, the better your health and healing experience is going to be.
Man, Catrice, while you were talking and you acknowledged about Paul, Saul, Job and their experiences, what began to come to my mind is the moment where Saul called for David to play the lyre, because the scripture reads that he was tormented in his mind. He was battling in that invisible domain. Now I'm about to piece something together for you all, family, because we're talking about balancing our faith with our mental health. We talked previously about the resources that we have available, but I want to use this scripture as now a dot to connect, to bridge the two. So yes, Saul called for David to come and play the lyre. As David played the lyre, which is like a harp basically, or some strings. So as David played, the demon that was tormenting Saul in his mind began to fade away, for lack
Yeah.
of better terms, the torment,
Yeah.
that battle space begin to be more calm, right? It gave Saul the opportunity to have some mental relief. So when we find ourselves in those moments where we don't know what to do because we are filled with worry, anxiety, and we just don't know which way to turn, if we don't have the courage just yet to pick up the phone, to drop a message, or to go online to look up a resource, one thing that you can do is begin to pray. Pray. You can begin to play your spiritual music to where you can get peace in your mind. But once you get that peace, once you get a little bit of some stillness, family, we have to now take it another step of the way and reach out for the resource. This is how we allow our faith and our beliefs to walk hand in hand with the resources that the Lord has allowed for us to have here, the counseling services and things of that nature. And if you're like, well, Mahalia, I hear you on that, but I like to just meditate. Well, take your moment. When you find yourself being overwhelmed with anxiety and worry and all that stuff, it doesn't have a set time. It can come at the most unopportune time, family. Do what you have to do to get your peace. But then once you get your peace, reach out, be vulnerable, be courageous enough to tap into the resources that are available to you, because you cannot operate in your best in your journey if you are not internally, mentally, spiritually healthy. So, Catrice, when we think about mental health, when we think about reaching out to the resources that are available to us, how can we begin to see it as a nutrient for our mind, like how we eat vegetables and we have a balanced diet because we are feeding our bodies nutrients? But how can we begin to see mental health as a nutrient for our mind?
That's a great question, Mahalia. Like with food that provides nutrients for our physical bodies, when we have the tools and the resources to help us, whether it's through strategies, whether it's through, for children, play therapy that helps them cope with different traumas that goes on in their life, whether it's even equestrian therapy when someone has experienced the trauma and they just need like something, or like a horse, that can help them as they're out and about and just be free in nature. Or music therapy, whereas like you just spoke about Saul and having David come and that music. That's why, people don't realize this, but when we go to church and you come in and you have that praise and worship music, it ushers us into a presence before God. And so music therapy also is another great resource that helps people deal with different mental challenges. So what we can do is, we need to realize that like our bodies, our mind and our mental capacity and our entire mental health, we really need to focus on how do we deal with stressors in our lives. Counselors are equipped to teach individuals how to cope with stressors by teaching them different coping skills, different coping strategies, also giving them and providing them different techniques on how to deal with different stressors, or what we also call triggers in their life. So I would encourage individuals that, if you're finding, I get angry when I'm driving down the road and I find myself wanting to go behind somebody, even though we have normalized that, that's not normal. So I would encourage you to reach out and just find out, listen, I'm experiencing this kind of frustration and this anger. Is there some type of anger management technique that can be taught to me? And if there's some type of strategy that can help me so that I don't react all the time, but I can be proactive in how my response is when I'm dealing with stressors and when I'm also dealing with triggers that may cause me to act outside of the norm.
Wow. Wow, Catrice. So in a previous conversation that we had, you had acknowledged about do not resist the emotion. Be vulnerable. Allow yourself permission to acknowledge the emotion that you have, but then don't just acknowledge it and stop there. Acknowledge it, move, do something so that you can address it. Now, can we see mental health challenges or even just the stress and all that stuff that we experience, if it goes untreated, unacknowledged, is it like a ticking time bomb? Does it progress? Does it progress, and progress? Or does it now become elevated to a different level of something else?
Yes. If those feelings of anxiety, fear, anger go untreated, they will dominate you. And it's almost like, a scar or a sore that goes untreated. It can become infectious. And if you do not treat certain triggers or certain stressors, it can cause you health problems. And not only does that lead to health problems, it can also lead to death. So mental health is a very serious thing, and it should not go ignored. We all feel pain. We all feel, have some feelings of fear. We all go through shame. We all, have hopelessness. But the more we resist those emotions, the more they will dominate us. And I tell people, do not resist your emotions. Let's work through them, because a good mental health professional will help you by providing you with the proper tools, the proper techniques, the proper strategies to help you get through those challenges that you're facing.
Wow. Thank you so much, Catrice. When you talk about this subject to people, and when you do research and study yourself, what is that one thing, or what are the few things that you share continually that you want somebody to walk away with understanding, if nothing else, when you're trying to teach them about the importance of understanding mental health?
Some communities accept the idea that mental health or mental illnesses are health problems that require treatment. But in other communities, there's a serious stigma that implies a mental health problem is a sign of weakness and should be kept hidden from others. I want to challenge people's beliefs, because mental illness, they're formed through experiences, cultural traditions, and even through education. Stories from my friends and families also play a role in how we view mental health. As I shared with you previously, we all have these stories with our families, and we talk about those crazy family members and maybe even a family member who may have been hospitalized. And, sometimes in our minds, we create these ideas that, and we believe that having a mental illness means that you can't function in society. You see in movies that, they have people playing as lunatics and, oh, this person is a sociopath or this person is a killer. But they're functioning people who are walking around that look like you and myself, who struggle with mental health challenges. So I want us to normalize mental health in the same manner that we normalize our physical health. I want us to normalize, hey, I have a therapist on speed dial, the same way that we normalize, oh, well, my primary physician is Dr. So-and-so. And once we do that, that is what I call total healing, mind, body, and spirit.
Catrice, thank you. Total healing, mind, body, and spirit. Family, our life is a journey. Your mental health growth is a journey. It requires patience, diligence, nurturing on your behalf, as well as a tenacious grip on the understanding that no matter what, you are willing to fight. So our series for this month, Help, I'm Battling. We are battling different things internally in an invisible domain at different points in our journey. But you know what? You don't have to fight alone, family. There are resources available. Look at the bottom of the screen in the detail sections for information about NAMI, as well as for the National Institute for Mental Health. You'll find resources there. They have a confidential 24-hour hotline available to you if you are in crisis. There's also information too about suicide prevention. Family, I want you to live life abundantly. I want you to operate in your best. And in order to do that, you have to be your best from the inside first. I love you all bunches. It has been a pleasure to connect with you all. Continue to subscribe to this page. Subscribe to the Moments with Mahalia podcast on Apple Podcast, as well as Spotify. Follow me with momentswithmahalia.com. You'll see all the information too for the social accounts. I want you to grow through life with me. I'm honored to be able to grow through life with you, okay? So remember, if you don't remember nothing else this week, if no one tells you first that they love you, I want to go ahead and be the first and say, beloved, I love you. That's right. So you can't do nothing about it, okay? And while you move forward this week, I want you to live life being a boss. So be brave, optimistic, selfless, and most importantly, strong. I'll talk to you all soon. Until next time, live life to be your best. Let's make today better than our yesterday and tomorrow better than our today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.